Alright guys, welcome back to YOSTBUILT, and I know it's been like a week. So let me explain to you what's been going on, and then we'll get into what this video is all about. So, over the last about a week, since you guys seen the Mini Cooper video, I have been working on all kinds of stuff. I've put in 2 different motors together, I put a whole Integra together, I've put in the Neon together, I've worked on the CSX, I've built the minivan motor, so I've been up to a lot. I just don't feel like making a video on all the little things I'm doing. I should have did a video on the Integra. I pretty much rebuilt the whole GSR. The problem with that is I kind of started a video, took the head off, and then there was damage in the motor. So then I had to wait for the machine shop to fix the cylinder head and do a bunch of other stuff like that. So if you guys want to follow along with all the little things I'm doing, if you go ahead, go to Facebook, I know most people have Facebook, and you go to the YOSTBUILT Facebook page, you will see me post all of pictures of stuff I do when I'm not making videos. I don't want to make a bunch of boring videos of me doing little things here and there and not really get a lot of views or anything like that. I want to start growing the channel with good content, stuff that's fun to watch, and stuff that's fun for me to actually make. So I'm going to explain to you 2 projects I've been working on that are in the shop right now, and then I'm going to explain to you the T3 2.5 hybrid that I posted on the YOSTBUILT Facebook page. Ooh, that's a lot to say. And it got a lot of attention. So first of all, let's talk about the CSX. So if you guys are new to the channel, this is our 1987 Carroll Shelby CSX. This is a numbered car. It's like number 437 or something like that. If you go in the Shelby registry, this car is actually RIP'd. It was hit in the back. Somebody said it was dead. The car is not dead. It is here. It is alive. It is a 2.4 Stratus short block with a Mitsubishi 420A cylinder head. So this is a unique setup in the fact that it's a hybrid motor using a Chrysler short block Mitsubishi head. This thing was running into fuel cut issues at the track. So since you guys have last seen it, it has an all new fuel system set up. It has the same injectors, the same regulator, but pretty much everything else has been changed. So I reran the lines. It now has a brand new AN8 feed. It has a Hellcat 525 pump in the tank that is inside the tank, much quieter. It has full new wiring from the ECU all the way to the fuel tank. I'll show you that in a minute. Has a passenger seat, has new fuel pressure regulator gauge, has a new fuel feed line, but that's what I've been working on. So over time, I always had an issue with the fuel system on this car. Since I've put it together, it does this lean cut thing in between gears. I always thought it was in the tune. I tuned everything I could, trying to figure it out. I asked other people, and then somebody mentioned it. I believe Stephen Morris is the one that mentioned it, and said, hey, the car even sounds funny when you're trying to rev it up. Like, the fuel pump can't keep up, or you have, like, acceleration enrichment issue. So I started trying to fix that. I went into the acceleration enrichment, started playing with stuff, got it pretty good, went back to the track, and that's when you guys seen me make the 1160 pass on wastegate. But the car was still breaking up in between gears. You can hear the car shoot a flame out the side of the car. This car does not have no lift shift set up, so there's no reason for it to be shooting the flame out the side of the car, because when I went back in the log and looked, we had 16:0 air fuel ratios in between gears. That is never good. That's never nice to the motor, especially when it's on, 20 pounds of boost. So fuel pump changed. Now it has a Hellcat in tank. Fuel pressure regulator. Let's talk about this. So we had a different style of fuel pressure regulator gauge right here. And the fuel pressure regulator gauge was showing 40 PSI of fuel pressure. Well, when I put the Hellcat pump in and swapped it over, the fuel pressure regulator gauge only showed me like 20 PSI of fuel pressure. And I know without changing this, that shouldn't change. So I found a little leak underneath the gauge, swapped out the gauge, and the new gauge showed me that I had 80 PSI of fuel pressure, which is probably why the MagnaFuel was having such a hard time keeping up, because 20 pounds of boost, regulator 1-to-1, it means it was trying to make 100 pounds of fuel pressure, and you can't really do that with those pumps. You're going to draw crazy amount of amperage trying to make the pump keep up, and it's never going to be happy. So now we have an AN8 feed all the way from the back to the front, Hellcat pump in the tank, it's relayed. We got the fuel pressure set down to 40 PSI, or 43 PSI. Went back in the tune, added about 30% to get the tune close. And then we made one hit on the dyno, and the car made 420 horsepower right off the hit at only 14 PSI. So this thing has more power in it. I'm going to put it back on the dyno sometime this week, probably make a video for you guys and show you that, well, it still makes more power. The motor is actually a lot healthier than we thought, and it'll make more. The next thing we've been working on is the NYG Neon. If you guys aren't following along with the Facebook page, like I said earlier in the video, you guys haven't even seen this car in a long time. So we took Mighty Mouse, the Nitrous Neon's motor, took it out, took the transmission off. This transmission is a PAP-built T350 with a Quaife LSD. It now has an all-motor mic intake manifold, and we started recycling other parts off Trailer Park. So Trailer Park, as you guys know, Spirit 11130s. It's the fastest Spirit Acclaim with a bone stock SRD4 motor. Well, this is a 20G turbo off of it. That's the downpipe off of it. I had to cut it up and re-weld it, but it works. And this is the intercooler off of it. So I was working on that today. Like I said, been doing all kinds of stuff off camera. So now this thing has Trailer Park's turbo, Mighty Mouse's motor, the Neon ACR's transmission, and a whole Kinetics harness, and full exhaust, 2.5 inch. And when I get done with the intercooler piping, it'll have a whole intercooler off of Trailer Park. So that's an update on the CSX, and that's an update on the NYG. And now we'll go talk about the minivan motor sitting over there. All right, guys. So we're going to get to the whole point of this video. We've done a lot of talking about the Neon. We've done a lot of talking about the CSX, an update on both of those. While I've not been making videos, we also completely rebuilt an Integra GSR. If you go on YOSTBUILT's Facebook page, you can see that. Like I said, hopefully we can hit 10,000 subscribers, or 10,000 likes, 1,000 subscribers by the time this video comes out. But here is the main focus of what I even wanted to talk about, why I even picked up the camera. So this is the motor I posted on Facebook, and I think it's got like 20,000 views already. People are kind of asking a lot of questions, and somebody actually asked me to make a video on it. So here's the video. So this is a T3 1991 Spirit RT motor. Right there next to it is an SRD4 motor. You can see how much bigger this cylinder head is than that cylinder head. You can see the block, everything the same. Now what's actually in this motor is a little bit different than pretty much every other T3. So a T3 is a Lotus designed cylinder head for a common block 2225 Mopar. Simplest way to explain it. Ours looks a little different because we have extra pulleys and stuff for the timing belt, because they're known for breaking oil pumps and having timing belt issues and having all kinds of other issues. This is also a built 568 by PAP with OBX LSD, 373 gears, and pretty much everything you can do to it. For the minivan that this is going in, if you guys haven't seen a picture of our minivan, it is a 86 Plymouth Voyager with only 32,000 original miles, and it is pretty much probably the cleanest minivan in the nation to say. Jalopnik kind of wrote an article about it, if you want to go check that out. But now what's actually in our 2.5 stroker T3 hybrid, whatever you want to call this thing. This is an original 91 Spirit RT block. It has a 2.5 liter crank out of another common block. It has a set of SRT4 rods, and it has a set of custom pistons to make the T3 dual cam head fit on a common block short block. Now the cylinder head isn't stock either. This cylinder head is a FWD Performance ported unit by Cindy. It has some valve springs in it. We don't even know if they're stock or not, but it has some type of valve springs in it. It has the Mercedes metal rocker or lifters. It has L19 GSR head studs. Yes, I said that right. It uses Acura Integra GSR head studs. It has the extra Subaru pulley. Pretty much people that know about T3s are going to know everything I just named. Most people that are watching this video have no clue what I'm even talking about, which is the whole point of making this video. So it's a common block 2225 as you've seen, but you see there is no distributor hole. The T3 motors use a large coil, kind of like a Neon or an SRT4, and you got 4 coil wires off of it that run to the cylinder head. No, it is not coil and plug. It's just one big coil. Another thing is this port right here in the front. You don't see that on the common blocks. Your power steering unit that actually has an extra tensioner with the Subaru tensioner. This is a stock exhaust manifold that's been ported. Like I said, T350, or not T350, 568 transmission. And then here is actually one of the cylinder heads all pulled apart, so you have a better look at it. You can see the ports here. The water neck, we still have to still off of it to stick on the other motor. The exhaust way down here. You can see the cam is actually inside the head. It's not a cam overhead, it's actually a cam in head. And then if you pick this thing up, these things are incredibly heavy. You can see the combustion chamber is nice. You have a big quench area. You have your temperature sensor over here. But this was actually the head that came off of this motor that we had tested out with a custom set of cams that we actually don't even know the specs on. They were sent to us by Delta. They are way, way, way too big, way too lopey, and the car was incredibly hard to get to run correctly. So we got this FWD ported head with a set of stock cams now with the, what is it, 9-to-1? So 9-to-1 compression, and we're going to see what we can do. So if you guys want any information about this, if you watch one of our really old videos with a stock 2.2 with just head studs and a stock head, stock intake manifold, stock exhaust manifold, and a GT30 turbo, we made 400 wheel horsepower at like 25 pounds of boost on E85. Not even getting very spicy with the timing. That was before we owned our own dyno or anything like that. So the tuning was all E-Tune by Stephen Morris. So we weren't even getting any crazy with it. So just imagine what we can do with forged pistons, forged rods, a ported head, a much bigger turbo. We do plan on running a Gen 2 GT3584 RS on this setup. So that turbo alone should gain us maybe 150 wheel horsepower over our GT30, because we were before running a eBay billet wheel GT3076. Now we're going to run a real 3584. So this motor has big plans. We hope, you know, to put our minivan somewhere in the deep 11s, maybe high 10s, 5-speed. We know there's a couple fast auto ones. They've been like 1180s or 1170s, I think is the record. We know Frankie Duma went with his nitrous 8-valve, and he went really fast, but he was having issues with it. So, like I said, I just wanted to make a video showing you the motor, showing you what I've been up to, and showing you it next to an SRT4 motor. If you guys have any questions about the major differences, as you can see already, the cylinder head is way bigger on a T3. The short block, there's actually a pretty big difference between an SRT4 short block and a 2522 common block. For the biggest thing is that it's actually two pieces. So in an SRT4 block, you have a girdle that the crank goes in between, whereas in one of these old school common blocks, you actually have regular main caps, like an old school V8. So there is no girdle. We do have options on 4-bolt maining one of these. We have it setting at a machine shop right now. We are still waiting on it, but maybe in the future, if this, you know, starts beating the crank out of it and we have issues with that, we do have the option of doing 4-bolt mains in a 2225 common block, and maybe even turning it up more. Like I said, this is going to be pretty much a test motor. We're going to figure out what it does. We know we can make 400 horsepower pretty easily, but we don't want 400 horsepower. We're probably going to aim for 600 plus. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. Hopefully you enjoyed the comparison between the T3 2.5 hybrid and the SRT4 motor. And as you guys have seen before, you can mount this transmission on this motor. Works just fine. That's the setup that's now in the Spirit. And I said earlier, there'll probably be a tuning video on that one sometime this week or next week if I get to it. But hopefully you enjoyed the video. As always, like, comment, and subscribe. I know there's going to be a lot of comments about this motor in this setup, because it is something old school, something different, and something many people have probably never seen. But hope you enjoyed. Till the next one.